Welcome to the Revenue Marketing Report powered by CaliberMind. I'm your host, Camela Thompson, and today I'm joined by Vahbiz Cooper. Vahbiz, thank you so much for joining us another day. I'm really excited to crack into this one because it can be a little complicated. Let's talk about influencer marketing. What pops in your head first?
Oh, I think what pops in my head first is that it's a really underutilized strategy and it's not hard. I know a lot of people struggle with it, but believe me, I promise you it's not hard. So yeah, please do utilize that strategy. It can do wonders for your company and your brand.
So I think let's talk a little bit about what works and what they probably won't work with. So I see a lot of founders who are trying to double as a marketer, who are trying to get influencers to talk about their product. When we talk about something they're an expert in and showcase them, that goes better. So have you seen trends where you get a little bit more participation and excitement from that influencer?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, I think firstly, no matter whatever strategy that you're trying to use in terms of influencer marketing, a lot, and I mean a lot of I've seen a lot of top companies doing this as well. They just focus on the follow account. Please do not be doing that, because follow account would not promise you engagement, would not promise you like a good brand image. When it comes to B2B influencers particularly, there is a manual effort that has to happen because of like LinkedIn's restrictions. But it is super important that you go in and you identify those influencers that actually have a decent amount of following but have good engagement, because then that's, if they promote your post, that people are going to actually look at it, talk about it, probably comment on it, versus somebody with like 12,000, 11,000 followers, and that person hasn't posted in, I don't know, 6 months or a year as well at times. So this is like, again, connecting back to like consistency, like somebody who, is going to be the voice for you. And the other thing that I notice what happens when, founders try to bring influencers in is they don't let influencers do their job. They kind of get controlling, like, what, hey, this is how I think we should do it. But every influencer knows their audience. They know how, their audience would react to a particular thing. And sometimes you just have to, trust and respect that the influencer knows what he or she is doing, and they know how to promote your particular brand in whatever way that they feel is good. Obviously, you should have like certain ground rules, or like if you want like the tone of voice to be a little like, subtle, or like the colors, or especially all of those like brand guidelines sort of a thing. But if you're going to tell the influencer exactly what to write, exactly what to say, exactly how they should promote, I really don't know why would you be paying them, because that's something you can do on your company page as well.
That's such a great point. And I even think about there's a lot of different ways you can bring influencers in, and one of them can be webinars.
Yep.
Having a script never goes well. I mean, people just, it's inauthentic, to your point from yesterday. Authenticity is what we're going for. And I do have founders say, I want to interview whoever it is that you're going to bring in. I want to make sure they agree with all my talking points. And my reaction is, isn't that a little boring? Don't we want a little bit of healthy debate? Are you really that insecure about coming out on top on that argument?
Yep. No, and I think that's super important as well, because also that's where you're going to get new ideas from. And there are so many times where, just random conversations have actually steered growth of existing products, as well as help generate like new products. And you get like your market research beta audience right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important. I think some companies are really hesitant to speak with somebody who may have worked for a competitor or has a different stance. If you do it right, I think that's super interesting. Like,
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
to be
I
careful.
Yeah, of course, like for sure, because I mean, sometimes, unfortunately, an influencer is only your influencer until they're like paid. But the thin line sometimes I feel is, don't just treat like your influencer as an influencer, like they're human too. Like, if you kind of build that and this takes time for sure, but once you like build the trust, once you like convert that influencership into partnership, I promise you they're not going to go to your competitor. Of course, you can have like candid chats about compensating them, or what exactly it is that they're looking for. But if that does get converted into like that strong bond, they would not go to your competitor for sure. Like that's guaranteed.
For sure. So let's talk about really tiny, scrappy companies that don't have budget to maybe pay folks. What are some things they can do to engage people with reach? Maybe
So
along the
mhm.
lines of what we're doing right now.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, budget constraint is important, and it's good that it's like out there in the open versus like, oh yeah, we have, and then like cutting the lines when it comes to like paying like your designer, for example. So what I feel the best strategy is, do not go up to them and be like, hey, can you promote us? Use like a reverse strategy. Be like, hey, we identified you as like a top sales leader, or like a top marketing leader or revenue leader, and just give them a small design for them to promote, like, hey, you know what, would you be willing to like promote this, and this is like a caption, if you want to use that, or you can write up your own. So then when they promote you like that, or they say like, hey, XYZ has recognized me, and again, like, they're humans, so everybody likes that feel good factor about themselves. So once they promote it, people are already viewing like, okay, you know what, this person is somewhat getting associated with this XYZ company. And then you can like invite them like on a webinar or like a talk show. And then once you have that decent amount of budget, you can just be like, hey, would you be like interested in doing just a 3-part video for us, or just coming on this webinar for us, or writing a blog for us. And then you don't really have to spend that huge chunk versus what you would have otherwise spent when you reach out to them, like, hey, you know what, we would charge you this amount of money to say this things. But you've already utilized that time to build that connection with them. So they would be more than happy to, do what you kind of ask them to do.
So a couple of things I just want to call out again because they were so good. So creating graphics for them and snippets for them to use so they don't have to go to the extra effort. Brilliant. It's a great idea. And then using them to do things like webinar, not using them, but collaborating with them on blog posts and webinars. Have you found, if I have a really strong writer, what I'll do a lot is offer it, can they meet with you for 20 minutes, ghostwrite this, and then you approve it. So the work, the commitment's really just that 20 minutes. Have you
Yep.
seen other strategies where you're simplifying things for that influencer?
I mean, yeah, I mean, mostly it's just these that we've like used and we've got success with. And the most simple thing is just ask them, because sometimes, they're worked up. They have like a lot of other things going on sometimes. Sometimes they're at top positions and genuinely has like forgotten to respond to your mail, or it just has skipped It's not that they do it on purpose. So sometimes like gentle reminders, or, if you just tell them, hey, what can I do to make this easy for you? We saw like a post once where a person has mentioned how difficult sales is. And we just reached out to them and we're like, what if we run an influencer campaign for you? And we're just going to run it, and we're just going to, give you like an idea of who to reach out to. So we did not charge them, or we did not do anything. Like we didn't even draw graphics or anything for them, but just, them hearing like, hey, there is somebody that I can kind of fall back on if, when my sales is being hard. And that got like the conversation started, and, and then slowly we collaborated with them, and it turned out to be a really good partnership. So sometimes it's just like going that extra step and saying, you know what, hey, can I help you? I know you're struggling here. Is there anything that I can do to, make this easy for you? And yeah, they ended up being a customer later on of our product. So it just started by saying, hey, do you want help?
I love that. And sometimes when they're really high up, they have an entire team supporting them. So asking if there's an easier way to work with them, you may get direct access to their team.
Yep.
Love it. So let's shift just a little bit and talk about identifying influencers within your company. So have you ever had that moment where you're like, ooh, that person would be great?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh, again, like I feel people who keep posting on LinkedIn and, getting like fun content out there is super, super important. We have external people who do that already, but, sometimes just an SDR would post like a reel saying, hey, this is a day in the life of an SDR here, or day in the life of an AE. And we immediately know that, okay, you know what, we want this person. It's like the person's happy in being in front of the camera. It's not camera shy. The person's already talking, so that's good. Of course, like sometimes if they need training, we're here to provide that. But it's just like we immediately know that we want to, take this person for some campaign. And we've already taken a few folks who have written really good sales rap songs. So yeah. And these ideas just sometimes come from anyone. It wouldn't even strike like a social person to do it, and it would strike somebody else like in the entire company. So yeah, sometimes it's like, wow, like just wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes as B2B social folks, we get a little too hyper focused on LinkedIn, and we have people in our company who are all over the place and see other ideas that they can kind of leverage. So that's really smart. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is a good point to say, join us tomorrow and learn more about the modern approach to product launches. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Revenue Marketing Report. Please tell 2 friends, subscribe, download, whatever you can helps. And for those of you looking for more great content like this, check out caliberbuying.com.